What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be continuing the backtesting session on gold. As I mentioned before, we're going from the beginning of 2022 all the way up until the end of 2022. So with that being said, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right over to the charts and let's get into it. Alright guys, so thank you for joining me here over on the charts. So you guys can see that from last time we have some of the markings left over. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of those. And we will start completely from fresh. So let's start off on the weekly time frame, because last time we did actually identify something that interesting which happened. So we had overall the weekly narrative being bullish. We had this big leg up, price had retraced. It was in this consolidation phase for quite a while on the weekly time frame, but last time we identified that price had actually come down, took out the bottom of this consolidation, and it was also trading within this sort of weekly demand zone to the left, if you guys can see that just there. So based on the fact that price has swept weekly lows into this weekly demand and had started to reject, we were looking to capitalize on some buying positions. On top of this, what we saw is that price created a 4-hour change of character here. So if I mark that on, we had this sort of 4-hour change of character. Price had pulled back into the demand on the 4-hour, which caused that change of character, took out multiple lows, resting above that level. And then if we're now focusing on this internal trend where we've had this sort of price action, price has also flipped back bullish internally. So we're now looking for a retracement to continue buying back up towards these previous highs. Up here, now that the lower has held, we expect price to maybe gravitate towards that area. So if we jump over to the 1 hour, again, you can see on the 1 hour, similar price action with price breaking bullish. We had this hourly breaker structure. So yeah, what we could look for now is maybe a pullback into this sort of hourly demand zone. If price, heads higher, creates some liquidity above it, and then pulls back into this region. One area that I want to watch out for in terms of targets is this area of supply right here. If price comes up, sweeps some of these previous highs to the left, we could maybe look for a counter trend opportunity within this area. But overall, I have just marked it just to remind me that once price trades towards that area, if it does, you could definitely see a reaction, and at that point you kind of want to err on the side of caution when it comes to taking long positions. But yeah, for the time being, price looks to be very bullish, and I'm looking to long up into that area. So if we can get a pullback into this sort of demand, you can see at the moment price kind of just moving up very correctively, creating lots of liquidity above this zone. So if we can get a pullback into this sort of area, I'm going to fast forward Asian session. And yeah, you guys can see price is just really consolidating above this level. Hasn't swept the liquidity level here. So I am still expecting higher prices, at least to take out this previous high. But yeah, apart from that, if price does not come down to this level and buys up to this wick, that's not something I would want to trade. Oh, and there we go. Price has come down into our demand. So what we do now is we head over to the lower time frames, have a look at the current structure. Currently on all time frames, price is still bearish, so we need to see some more structure to develop. Right, so now that we've had a sweep of this low, if price can break above this high, I would consider the buying positions. Otherwise, if it just keeps continuing down and creating some more structure, we can also look at that, and obviously go for from the new structure levels. So let's see. Right, so this is actually Asian session, so I'm going to fast forward this because I wouldn't be trading the Asian session. I said I was looking for a break above this high, but price never closed above it. You can see price just swept it, pushed down, and I think it's very likely you now see a regrab of this low. And if we see that, we can maybe look for another buying opportunity. Okay, cool. So price looks to be coming lower. It still is within this demand zone. This is like the 15-minute refined area. Price has taken out Asia low in this London session. So let's see if we can get a breaker structure here. Yeah, I'm going to enter this. So I'm in this trade and we're going to target Asia high up here for around a 1 to 4. Reason behind this trade, we're in this refined area. You can see if we go back to the higher time frames, price has made this extended move down. Everybody's going to be seeing this as a breaker structure. They're going to be trying to short at this sort of region here. But based on that bullish narrative that I just went through, I am still looking for longs. And on the 5-minute, you can see price created a higher high, pulled back, held this 5-minute demand, and started to push up. So there we go. So price broke the structure again. One area that I'm gonna monitor and look out for is this sort of supply that we have here. If price can break above that, I'm confident in this trade heading towards this high. And yeah, that will start off the backtesting session nicely if we can get a rally up into that zone. But yeah, for the time being, gonna monitor this supply that price has just tapped into. There you go. So price did give a rejection from it. Like I've said previously though, I never make my trades break even. I just let them run to TP or stop loss. And this is based on previous data I found and is the most optimal approach for this strategy. It's just like a set and forget approach. And there we go. So first trade of the session has now hit TP. I think very likely though, you are now going to see price keep heading back towards this drawn liquidity up here. So that's the overall target to start the session off. What I'm looking for now would be sort of a retracement into this imbalance that price has just created, and then look to continue buying up into that high. Currently, I'm not really seeing any valid levels that I could look for buys from. As you can see, it's just like this open imbalance. So I'm going to let price develop some more and see where it goes from. Going to fast forward Asia session. And yeah, you can kind of see now price looks to have finished this pullback. It's pushed up back towards this high. Yeah, but this isn't really something I would trade unless it can break this structure again and then pull back into the range. There we go. So price just ended up buying straight into this high. And yeah, there we go. So price looks to be continuing up. Remember I said we could look for some counter trend opportunities inside this supply zone. The reason for that in this case is just because it is a very clear zone that swept previous liquidity to the left, has these two sort of equal highs resting below it, and it also now has this high that price has just swept as well below it. So yeah, if price can start to turn around here, I'm happy to look for a counter trend opportunity. Keep in mind that if this was in the live market, I would only be looking for this counter trend opportunity if I was already up a decent amount on my account and I already had a buffer. In this case, you can clearly see we have quite a decent buffer. So I'm very happy to take a counter trend trade in this case. What I'm looking for here is if price can come up, re-grab the high, and then break structure. So something like this. Otherwise, I would wait for price to just head straight down from here, take out maybe this low, and then look for the continuations. But at the moment, this is just consolidation. So there's not really a trade for me at the moment. Yeah, so there we go. It looks like price is just heading back down. So if we get rid of some of these markings, the next analysis that I would look for would be either for price to grab this low and then flip back bullish and we can look for some longs, or we still have this demand at the bottom of the range, which again caused a change of character. Notice how price is sort of replicating the price action we had back here, where we had change of character, pull back into the extreme, taking out previous lows. Here we're doing the same thing. Price has pulled back towards the extreme, taken out previous lows after it had caused that initial change of character. So yeah, we have two possibilities here. Either price sweeps this low, we look for longs from there, or it comes down into this extreme demand. I'm also going to mark this back on as a change of character. And there we go. So you guys can see price swept that previous low. Let's see if it can start to flip bullish from here. Right, so there we go. Price has swept this low, re-grabbed the initial push from the zone. One thing I've noticed with gold in particular is that when you have a sweep of liquidity, it will almost always come down, re-grab the lows again before making the move. So in this case, you can see price pushing up. It did break some lower time frame structure. So what I'm looking for now, I would look to target the opposing liquidity, so at least this high. If you look on the 4 hour, clear opposing liquidity, and maybe this supply zone up here as well. Monitor that just in case you see a reaction. Like I said before, price has not yet tapped into the extreme, so this could just be a pullback for continuations lower. But regardless, because we are overall bullish, even if this is just a pullback for lower prices, we can look to continue buying with this overall move. Not seeing any entries at the moment though. Just gonna keep playing price for the time being. Right, so that opposing liquidity has been swept, but price still looks to be quite bullish, heading towards that supply zone. So what we could actually look for here, this is the current 15-minute trend leg. Maybe we could see price, come down into this area, sweep the liquidity above it, and then look for the continuations. All right, so there we go. Price did actually come down, grabbed this low. So this is still a valid trade if price can start to show indication that it wants to head higher from here. In terms of 5-minute structure, there's nothing there for me, so I'm just gonna play this on. Right, so we've now had another breaker structure. Price has pulled back, swept this low. That was the final bit of liquidity in this whole range. So yeah, this actually looks like a nice opportunity. You can clearly see as well, price closed above that liquidity level. So I'm now looking for it to head up into the supply. Keeping in mind it is still overall bullish, so this could just be a rally back into the highs. And that's the more so the narrative that I'm leaning towards at the moment. In terms of structure, you did have this change of character right here. So I'm actually going to enter this if price can pull back into this area. And we will target that current high. Reason behind this trade, like I said, pull back into the range. Last bit of liquidity swept. Asia low was also taken. And then here, if you zoom in on that, price created a higher high, and then I'm waiting for a pullback into this sort of area of demand. If we see that, there we are. You could also refine it to this zone. That would have given a nicer risk to reward. And there we go, price is starting to push. I'm already happy with the risk to reward on this though. We've got around a 1 to 5. So yeah, let's see if price can continue up. Oh, there we go. That was quick. I think that was probably some news event, maybe FOMC, because it was Wednesday evening. So I would have probably exited that trade before FOMC if it was in the live market, because it was quite close to our entry. And obviously if price does a move like this but counter to your position, you're going to end up getting slipped by quite a lot. And yeah, there we go. There's that rejection from the supply. Price did go slightly higher, but now looks like it's heading back towards this extreme demand. So I'm actually going to look for price now to come and target this low, which was inducing the demand. Maybe we can look for some shorts down into it if price can pull back. I'm going to fast forward Asian session. So yeah, you guys can see price came up, wicked the demand, but failed to break the high, and has now impulsively moved back towards the trend low. So thoughts behind this trade is that because of all of those confluences, price is likely going to head into this low, and we can look for some shorts. I'm not really seeing any valid areas though to go from. And yeah, there you go. So price just went straight into it, and this was Asian session anyway, so we wouldn't have been able to capitalize on that. But what we can see now is that price has actually come into the extreme demand, which we mentioned, caused the change of character. We've seen price sweep some previous lows into it, this one as well. So yeah, I'm gonna look for some more buying opportunities if price presents one inside this zone. Currently it is still bearish, so nothing just yet, but let's continue to play price. There we go. Let me just go back out. Yeah, so price did end up, as you can see, it swept this low. Still holding this 4-hour demand to the left though, remember? So this could just be a sweep of previous buyers inside the demand for a move up, keeping in mind that price is also in that weekly demand to the left. So yeah, price has actually broke bullish on the 15-minute here. We have this area 15-minute demand. I'm going to enter this stops. In this one, I think we can get away with having stops just below the demand. And I'm going to target for this. Actually, I'm going to have stops below the low just to protect the position. And I'm going to target this wick up here. Very clear drawn liquidity that price looks to be heading towards. You might see a reaction from this one as well if price can push up into it, which I think it will likely do. Right, there we go. We are tagged in now. There we go. Price broke the high. It's a good indication. Yeah, there we go. Price is beginning to push. Very clear closure above that level. Price now looks to be heading towards that wick. There's not really anything that would stop it from getting there. So thoughts now. I am going to look for a potential second entry on the longs if price presents one. It doesn't look like it will though, to be honest. Yeah, there we go. Just continue to push. Good analysis on that one though. So if I just quickly go through that trade again, price had flipped bullish here on the 4-hour, came all the way back, held the demand, pushed away initially, came back, swept that initial push. Just a very clear drawn liquidity here that price took out, as you can see. And then once it did take out that liquidity, it flipped bullish on the 15-minute in this case, pulled back into demand, and then that is where we got our entry. So if we zoom back out, because price has now broken that main high, just here. But yeah, still looks very bullish. Obviously, we don't want to be trying to sell against all of this momentum. We want to be probably now looking for longs up into like these highs longer term. So yeah, let's continue to look for some longs. Not really seeing any valid areas at the moment. Maybe if you see price come and take out this low, that would be a nice position. Fast forward Asia session. Right, so there we go. Price took out this low, which was that current 15-minute higher low. People would be trying to buy above that. All of these highs have not been taken out. You can see price forming this clear liquidity. I'm just going to mark this on as well as the main breaker structure. So yeah, price pulled back, swept this low. If you look below that, there's not really anything for price to come into. So yeah, let's see how price reacts here. It also took Asia low, so we could see some longs. Depends on how the 5-minute develops. At the moment, I want to see at least this high broken. There we go. We didn't quite get a closure above it though. Right, there we go. So now we got a closure above it. This is our change of character. I would maybe look to enter on this demand. That price has just formed just here. And there we go. I'm going to have stops slightly below this wick just because I still think that area could get taken out before we buy. And actually, because this trade is not yet a 1 to 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter on this liquidity level and have stops down here. The reason I'm entering here is because this is the last liquidity before this imbalance move up. So if I place this order, yeah, it doesn't look like price is pulling back for us anyway. Yeah, there we go. I would cancel this now because price swept that main high. We should have just entered from the demand. I was trying to be a bit too predictive of price there instead of reacting to it. What could we see now? Maybe a sweep of this low for continuations. Gonna fast forward Asia session again. Right, there we go. So price is coming lower. Next area I would look for longs would actually be if price re-grabs this low. I wouldn't want to buy above that. There we go. So price swept the low. Let's see if it can break structure. Currently, I'd need to see it come above this high. If it can do that, that would be a nice opportunity. Right, so there we go. Price broke structure clearly on the 15 and M5. The whole area that I would look to enter from here is this. You could refine it maybe to this POI. Let's just have a look at this a second. Yeah, it's like the whole demand area is really this region. I don't want to over refine this. I'm happy to execute here if price can pull back. And as for targets, we'll go for these highs. Have a slightly smaller stop. Target slightly above the highs just to make it a 1 to 3. And then manage it accordingly as well. Right, so that's annoying. Price slightly missed us. You can see there wasn't, like, this is not something I would enter on just because it didn't sweep any previous liquidity. So yeah, you also wouldn't have been able to get a 1 to 3 if you entered there anyway, targeting this high. So it's not something I would have gone for. But yeah, as you can see now, clear bullish momentum coming in. Price very clearly, gravitating towards at least this high up here. And yeah, above that area, you also have daily supply. You may want to watch out for this area if your mid price maybe can come into this level and give a reaction. So yeah, overall looking for longs still and looking to buy up towards that high we go to some of the lower time frames, again, there's not really anything I would enter from here just yet, so I'm going to let price develop. Just consolidating at the moment, really. Right, this is a nice opportunity actually. So what I'm seeing here is that even though this is like quite a messy consolidation, price didn't really tap into anything to the left, but from experience, when gold makes an impulsive move like this and then just consolidates near the high, and it hasn't swept any liquidity to left, keeping that in mind as well, it will very often just use this as sort of like an accumulation to go higher. So if we also look on the 15-minute, you can see it swept Asia low, took the low again, and then broke back bullish. If we're following this sort of internal trend that we have right here, it broke bullish from here. So we now look for a pullback to buy up into those highs. So yeah, I'm going to enter on this 15-minute demand. I'll have stops slightly below it. If price comes any lower than this, then we can obviously reevaluate. Target a 1 to 3. And there we go. We've now got some liquidity above the level as well. Just makes this area higher probability. And I will cancel this limit, obviously, if price breaks this high as well. Oh, there we go. So this is now no longer valid. The zone is still valid, but I'd need to see another confirmation in that zone if price is going to hold it or not. So yeah, either we see a regrab of this low, or price maybe can hold the demand. I would prefer to see price come back down and grab that low, to be honest, judging on the higher time frames. But yeah, overall still very bullish, looking to take price up into at least that high. So let's see how it reacts here. Currently there's not really any 5-minute structure setting up, so even if it does go to the high here, we're not really going to get a confirmation. And it looks like it's going to, yeah, sweep the low. So we can now look for some longs here. Now that that last bit of liquidity has been taken, you guys can see, swept the low of that consolidation. So yeah, let's see how it reacts here. If it flips bullish, I'm happy to go for the longs, which it has just done, as you guys can see. Broke bullish here, and this is the demand that I would go for in terms of entries. So if we draw this on, and let's see how this plays out. I'm going to have stops just below, and I'm going to target this previous high. See if price can pull back for us. There we go, nice push so far. Only thing I don't like about this is that price has now reacted from supply. As I said though, I just let my trades play out. No break even or anything like that. Oh, and there we go. So if you had made that trade break even, like I say always, price comes down, taps you out at break even, and then just shoots up into your TP. So you would have missed out on 3.5% there just because you were trying to be overly conservative. Obviously, if you've backtested this system or any system and have found that making it break even improves the system, then it's completely fine to make trades break even. But for me personally, I found that the most optimal thing in terms of the most profit is just to let the trades run. As you guys can see now, price broke past this liquidity level with a lot of momentum. Very clearly it's heading towards that supply, and most likely higher on the weekly time frame. But yeah, if we see a reaction from this daily supply, maybe we could look for some shorter term sells, but for now I'm mainly focused on the buys, not really interested in sells unless price presents. Right, so we are now in this daily supply. Judging by the momentum that price is approaching this level with, though, you're not really expecting much for the sells. I'd much rather just look for continuations. Maybe if price can come down and grab Asia low, you can clearly see it gravitating towards the top of that supply, and it has now just swept the top as well, as you guys can see. Price is just consolidating near the top of that supply, so I'm not really interested in trying to sell anymore. The next demand I would look for would maybe be this area. As you guys can see, price has started to create some liquidity above this zone. If we look on the 1 hour, in terms of 1 hour structure, you could actually mark on this being your current breaker structure. And yeah, this area here, 4 hour demand, which price has just induced. So if we look for a retracement into this zone, there we go. Price has retraced into that area, took out some previous lows to the left. Asia low has been taken in London session as well. If we look on the 5 minute, if price can break above this structure, I'm happy to take the trade. Yeah, there we go. Can we get a good enough risk reward on this? Probably. If I target this high, that gives us just less than a 1 to 3. So what I'm actually going to do is drag this slightly lower, just so we get a 1 to 3 on the trade, which for anybody that's new here, my minimum risk to reward per trade is a 1 to 3. Otherwise, I won't take the trade. And yeah, there we are. We're in the trade. If I was looking for a pullback entry, I would probably enter on this demand. But as I said, the risk to reward was good enough, so I'm not going to wait for that. I'd rather just enter this trade from here. So let's see if price can push. There we are. So very nice trade there. Clear push after price swept the liquidity and broke bullish. So yeah, rinse and repeat the same process. We now broke this high, looking for a pullback once again to continue the longs. We zoom back out to the daily for a moment. The next area we could see the price head towards would obviously be this daily high that price is very clearly heading towards. There's not really anything for it to react from unless it does sweep that high. So yeah, that is the next target in terms of POIs, or potential areas where you could see a reversal, not a POI. Right, so next area is this demand. You can see how price took out multiple lows in this region up here. You can just think of all the people that are trying to see that as a trend line break and are trying to sell. Currently this is Asian session, so I'm just going to head to the next day. Yeah, this looks like a good opportunity. Let's see if price can pull back into the demand. There we are, we're in the demand. And cool, everything here is checked in terms of my criteria. If price can break this high, I will enter this trade. If not, I'll look for the next opportunity. There we go. Can we see a closure above it? I think on the 5 minute. Yeah, so we haven't had a closure above it yet. I need to see that first. There we go. So if we go back to the 5 minute, price very clearly closed above the structure. And in terms of areas to enter from, if we go back to the 15, not currently seeing any. Maybe if we get a sweep of this low, we could look for an entry. right? So price did grab that low. I also grabbed this low, tapped into the demand as well. I didn't see this at the time. I'm actually just going to jump in this trade. Stops just below the demand, and we'll go for this high up here, which is the main trend high. And there we go, in the trade. Right, so stop loss on that one. First stop loss of the session, which was fine, completely valid trade, so no issues there. And yeah, as you guys can see now, price did end up coming lower. It grabbed this low, still within this 4-hour demand that we tried to buy from, or sorry, that we did buy from before. So we could definitely see a reaction here. This could be a potential continuation area. If we zoom back out to the daily, I didn't see this before actually, but it is kind of reacting from that daily supply. Hence why you're getting this sort of bigger retracement. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit cautious with the buys here because price reacted from that daily zone. But if we can see some sort of confirmation where price is now, I'm happy to go back into the longs. Fast forward the Asian session. It looks like price just wants to continue down. Yeah, there we go. So price is clearly heading lower now. The demand did not hold. And yeah, price has kind of just tapped into this imbalance. It hasn't really come into a valid POI. So what I would do here, because it has reacted from that daily supply, swept previous highs to the left, we could actually look for some shorts here. So if we go back to the 1 hour, we can actually see that the structure did flip bearish. We had, so your change of character was really here. Actually, I guess it was this level. This one was the one which put in a new high, not counting the wicks. And then we had a push lower, price broke structure again. So for the time being, I'm actually going to look for some shorts to follow this hourly trend down. The potential area I'm seeing is this supply. We have an area of previous liquidity below it. So if we can get price to push into there, that would be quite nice. Cool, so there we go. Price swept this high, and came into the supply. If you look to the left, it's not really reacting from anything. It's very unlikely going to reverse from here and flip back bullish. So yeah, if we can get a confirmation here, this would be a good opportunity to sell. There we go. So price did end up breaking structure on the 5-minute. I'm not currently seeing any valid entry POIs though, so I'm going to let this develop some more. Again, we kind of have this like whole hourly supply, but you don't have any liquidity below it yet, so I'm gonna wait for that. Yeah, there you go. So price did end up tapping into it, pushed lower, and actually, yeah, this is going to be my entry. This is a valid setup for me. After the initial change of character, price broke structure here again, created this 15-minute supply zone. We have an area of inducement below it. So I'm actually going to set this limit and target a 1 to 3, just below that low. Let's see if we can push up into it. There we go. This is still valid because the low has not been taken. There we go. Very clean trade that. Price came up, grabbed Asia high, tapped into our supply zone, and then sold off into the lows. Hasn't yet closed below this structure, so this may be the reversal. You guys can see price swept these lows. Very clear push. And there we go. So that is your hourly change of character. Hourly has now flipped back bullish. If we zoom back out to the daily time frame, you can see that price this was a very bullish move, so this just looks like a retracement. Price pulled back, reacted from this sort of previous structure to the left if you trade based on like support and resistance. I'm going to get rid of some of these markings because they're not relevant for us anymore. I'm going to, however, mark on this as a breaker structure. So yeah, we could see two things here. We could maybe see this being the reaction for price to push lower back into these lows, or we could see this as just a pullback for price to push higher. Based on the weekly narrative that we discussed, I think it's much more likely you see price push higher. Based on the fact that it swept the weekly low, tapped into the demand, and has started to push up with clear intent as well. So if I was looking for buys here, I would look for a pullback into this 4-hour demand. Clear demand, swept these lows to the left, as you guys can see. Left imbalance as well. If it can create some liquidity above this level, that would also be another nice extra confluence. And there you go, it has started to consolidate above this level. There we go. So price is now in that 4-hour demand. Took out some previous lows above the level. So yeah, I wouldn't buy straight away from here. I'd want to see some confirmation. If you were a swing trader, you could obviously enter from just this whole zone like this and then target these highs. Because price has already given the confirmation on the 4-hour, it broke bullish, created some inducement above the demand. So if I was a swing trader, that's what I would be looking at. But in my case, I'm going to wait for a lower time frame confirmation. There we go. So I'm going to enter this just here. Stops below those lows. And I'm going to target this current high. Reason why I'm entering here is because if we look on the 5-minute, price grabbed these lows, gave us the change of character right here. Actually, no, I can't enter this because this is the Asian session. Let me fast forward this slightly. Oh, that's annoying. So I stuck to my rules. I'm not allowed to enter an Asian session, and obviously in the UK that would be overnight anyway, so I wouldn't be able to enter. So what I can look for now is maybe I'm going to look for price to come back into this area, and I'm going to enter on this zone instead and target the same place, just because I missed that first entry. That was supposed to be a limit order. There we go. There we go. Price has tagged us in. I like this because it did take out this previous low. People are trying to sell this now. They're seeing this as a breaker structure. If you go on the 5-minute, there's probably going to be another confirmation anyway, if you wanted to wait for that. Yeah, there you go. So if you wanted a confirmation, you could buy here. I'm actually going to do that because we can make the first trade break even. I said a minute ago I don't make my trades break even. The only exception is when we have a scaling opportunity. So if we have a scaling opportunity like this, which doesn't interfere with the first trade, I move the first one to break even slightly higher to cover swaps, commissions. So yeah, let's see if this second one tags in. Right, yeah, there we go. So second one did end up losing. I was expecting that, to be honest. It was quite a lower probability trade. I'm going to move stops back to where they were on this one. Yeah, and there we go. Should have just kept to the initial trade rather than trying to force a re-entry. You can see what price did there, which I didn't see at the time. He used our zone as an inducement, came down and reacted from this sort of extreme after that change of character. To be honest, it was kind of stupid for me to enter from this region because that was in a premium and there was no liquidity above it either. So it didn't really fit the plan, so deserved a loss on that one. And you guys can see now, price very clearly continuing this bullish structure. Next liquidity target will obviously be this current daily high up here to continue that overall daily trend. So yeah, if we keep playing price, see how this develops. Right now, price has pulled back, reacted from a demand. So we could see the push from here. If not, I would look for it to come down and grab some of these lows. Maybe this one. That would be the next POI. But for now, I'm going to monitor this zone, see how price reacts. Yeah, there we go. So price is coming lower. We did see quite a decent push from that level, but price didn't hold it. There we go. So the liquidity level was swept. 5 minute has flipped bullish, but based on the momentum here, I don't think price is going to pull back for us. Let's just have a look. Yeah, it didn't pull back for us. I was going to wait for a pullback into like this sort of zone down here. I didn't want to enter on this one because there was no liquidity above it and it was in a premium. So nothing valid there. Let's keep playing price, see how it develops. I'm just going to mark on this with a line as well, just so we know when it's hit. In terms of POIs now, we have this this hourly supply demand. Asia low is just above it as well, so that would be quite nice. Yeah, price never pulled back into it. But yeah, very clear closure above that daily level. No longer interested in shorting from that level. I said before, we could use it as a POI to short from, but based on this price action we have here, you know, there's no point trying to short that. But yeah, guys, this video is already quite long and we have just got to the last month of 2023. So I'm going to save that for Monday's video, and then we will also go through the analytics as well. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future backtesting sessions, and I will see you guys in the next video.